This is reposted.
I feel like lately, Mr. Keller, I have been singing the praises of the spring season, talking a lot of sports, talking about the weather. There's also one ominous sign of the spring, tax day. As you know, tax day this year bounced back a little bit from April 15th to May 17th. Our tax quote comes from the lovely Anonymous, who says, a person doesn't know how much he has to be thankful for until he has to pay his taxes on it. I'm assuming that taxes is not something that causes you lots of pressure in your life.
No, the only pressure is I have a self-imposed deadline of finishing my taxes before March, and I've done that every year of my adult life, and so it's just kind of I get it done and I move on. I am a little bit, I'm aware that next year my taxes are going to be more complicated because I got married, but other than that, easy sailing.
Okay, we just slipped through this one thing. You self-imposed, you want it done by March?
Yeah, so I mean, this is the second year in a row that we've pushed it back. Last year, I think it went into June. I don't even know when it was. I think I finished my taxes before the pandemic happened. So all those things pushing back. Does paying taxes give you pause or stress?
No, I mean, once again, my parents instilled in me of paying my taxes is always super easy. I've never really, when I was single and by myself, I never had a business, so it was just one form, turn it in and do it. Um, Me and my wife does the taxes. Full disclosure here. There was one time when we both had businesses and we went to a tax guy. We paid like $400 to a tax guy, but he ended up getting us $6,000 back. Something we were doing something wrong.
Wow.
But then we kind of figured out his tricks, and so we don't need him, so we don't do that anymore. But no, in generally speaking, taxes is not. But Mike, the reason I bring this up is because I don't think we're the normal people. I think tax season is a huge headache and causes lots of people lots of stress.
Well, I mean, I don't agree with this quote on any sense, and I'm curious if you can give me some insight into it because a person doesn't know how much they're thankful for. Like, I'm not thankful for anything for paying taxes. It's just a way of life. Everyone says the only two certainties are death and taxes. So it's like it's a way of life, and it doesn't really. I'm not thankful for it. I mean, maybe if I see a park in my neighborhood redone, I'm like, oh, that was nice. My taxes went to that. But otherwise, paying taxes on something, I'm not thankful for it. What am I missing?
Well, I mean, I think there's a couple of ways to look at this, right? Like my father-in-law, whenever he starts talking about taxes, his head explodes. Like the government wasting my money. I mean, literally, Rush Limbaugh comes out and he just wants to go crazy, right? But there's also a way to be like, oh, you get to see your money at the end of the year and go like, oh, I earned that much money. That I'm thankful that I have a good job.
I don't
Also, all the
remember.
great things that society has too.
I don't know when this is going to air, but we talked recently about you always have an option. It might be nuclear. Like if you don't want to pay U.S. taxes, leave. Like to your father-in-law. Like people get upset, but I mean, that's just my mentality of like this is what it is, and I'm going to accept it as a part of life and move forward. Just like having to wear a mask is a part of life, and I move forward. And taking my mask off doesn't make me thankful for. I I don't know. I'm still trying to wrap my head around like what's my takeaway from this? Like, how am I going to be a better person walking away from this quote?
Um, have you known who has not paid their taxes?
I probably know a lot of actors that don't pay taxes and they'll probably end up getting back taxed, but I don't know anyone specifically that's gone through it. I've known three people that have had their identity stolen by their dads, which is a messy situation. But
So we have someone we know, and I don't want to out him on this thing. We know someone pretty good that didn't pay taxes for at least 5 years. Just didn't pay them.
did this person tell you why they didn't? Like what?
It wasn't like a philosophical thing. It was just like I think either forgot or it was. It's like complicated. I don't have a great answer why, but he definitely wasn't like I'm plotting. It was just like for and had to Jesus to sit down with the IRS and get on a schedule of a payment plan.
I mean, yeah, I guess maybe you can be thankful after you've been slapped on the wrist or punched in the face by the IRS. But
Have you known somebody that's been audited?
again, not that I know of, but like I'm sure I know someone that has been audited. It's not like
So
if I was
I
being
just
audited, I wouldn't tell all my friends, hey, check it out. I got an auditor coming today. I put the tea kettle on. They're going to be excited. No.
You had a good friend who did that. Like he got married and is an independent contractor, right? So he's itemizing everything and then received like $40,000 in cash, like crazy family kind of thing, because got a wedding, blah, blah, blah. And he got majorly audited and he was a little stressful.
Yeah, I mean, being audited, I'm pretty sure I do my taxes right every year. But if I found out I was getting audited, I'd be a little bit nervous about that. Just
Is there any? I mean, so you do your own taxes there. Is there anything that's questionable when you do the write-offs? Or you're like, I don't know.
I don't think so. I mean, I use an app that ties to my credit card, and I itemize everything throughout the year, and so everything is just kind of built in. I did pay a tax person one year, and it was a few $100s. And basically, my view of tax people is you do all the work. They're like, hey, compile all these documents, fill out all these forms, and I will press submit, and you will indemnify me in case anything goes wrong. I will not be held accountable. So I get that taxes are daunting, but I can't wrap my head around paying for that. I mean, maybe unless you're super diversified in the market and you have a lot of capital gains and losses that you want to write off. But like for most people who aren't heavily diversified, I'm not sure it's going to help you that much. TurboTax is easy.
The free version is great. And so the same person that did pay taxes for 5 years was also someone who waited till the last day to file and had to get in the long line at the post office to like get it postmarked by the day.
Who is this person?
I can't tell. Well, I'll tell you off air, but it was. And so when was dating my wife, he and my wife went to do their taxes. They had to go both get them post stamped at the post office in San Francisco on this day, or they were going to get a penalty.
That's wild. I just checked my bank account. My tax return for 2020 has already come in, and I'm going to go spend that at the track. I'm going to bet on the 4-horse.
Well, it's kind of crazy for us because we have some school scholarship stuff that we have to worry about. We ended up doing our taxes by the first week in January. Like by January 5th, my wife has done the taxes. It's always like, God, it was just New Year's. Now our taxes are done.
Oh, because I am an independent contractor. I have W-2s. Is it W-2s or W-4s coming to me? And it takes the entire month of January for all the different because I work for one day. It's for a different company. If I work on set, I get all these things coming in. So I let those trickle in. But yeah, you got a couple more write-offs coming up for next year. So that'll be nice.
Yeah, and I think with the advent of, I remember when Intuit came out and it kind of really helped people that were independent contractors and small business owners. I can't even imagine what you had to do before then.
Yeah, I think that's when hiring someone would have made more sense because the software now just basically does it for you. You answer questions and they make it pretty straightforward. This episode has been brought to you by Intuit. Do your TurboTaxes on TurboTax.com. Try a free trial tax offer. Upgrade for $19.95. Anyway, I think I'm thankful for things once they're gone. But again, I'm trying to taxes. Yeah, just taxes suck. That's what it is.
No, what I took out of this is that I definitely, when we do look at our final tax numbers, I'm like, wow, I can't believe we did that this year. I'm always kind of shocked by the totality of it.
You mean you made that much, or what do you mean?
Made that much, or they're taking that much out. I think I'm always like, wow, just all of it in general.
Yeah. Well, if you want to get upset every day, look at how much, or twice a week when you get your check, say, oh, a lot of that's not going to me. So.
Well, it's going to a park near you.
Yeah. Something I do when I'm budgeting is I look at my take home because like say your salary is $100,000, but how much of that can you actually spend? And it's nice. Like employers have a way of saying, well, your total compensation is $140,000 because we're going to pay for your insurance and we're going to pay for whatever. And they add all these things up and you're not really making that much. So I guess my tip for people is if you want to start a budget, if you don't live on a budget, just figure out what your take home is, like post-tax, and then live off that. Don't budget based on your salary.
Tax pro tip. My father-in-law's tax pro tip. Don't owe anything and don't get anything back. You should be at zero for all that you
owe. You should owe $100. I mean, that's what a lot of people's advice is. Anyway, well, if you have a suggestion on where Larry's father-in-law should move to, please reach out. You can find us at Reposted Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm Andrew Keller for the Tax Man. Thanks for stopping by.